Back to the SMITE Challenger Circuit now. We're in North America. It's Gormizer. It's Mifflin on the desk for this one as we move into the last half of the day. Again, in North America now. So we've covered Europe. Tomorrow morning, we will be looking at Europe one more time. Saturday morning, we'll get our last peek at North America. But today, we'll bang out a couple of sets here. The Hounds, the Weavers, the Wardens, and Tanuki. Which, Mifflin, I should have looked it up between last week and this week as to whether or not that is the plural form of Tanuki. I'm going to assume it is because it would make sense with the rest of them. And they'll be all playing throughout today, and it's going to be really fun to watch. We're going to be looking at the Eldritch Hounds and the Anansi Weavers here today. So it's going to be a very fun one. Again, a lot of good names on both of these squads, and admittedly, some fun back and forth between them that I'm expecting.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this matchup. Specifically, I think if I'm to believe the set here, if I'm to believe my notes, and I might not be able to because Chinfu's a multi-role prodigy, we've got Dude Man Bro up against Chinfu. That's some pretty exciting stuff.
Could be fun to watch, and I guess we'll get to see how that one shakes out. Again, we can take a look at the North American schedule for today and the matches that you have. We've kind of talked about the first one. Again, Wardens? I tried to combine like three names there,
Warden Weavers.
The Wardens and the Tanuki are going to be the last set of the day. Sages and Storm going to be playing there on Saturday morning. Right now, it's the Hounds and the Weavers going up against each other. And Mifflin, again, this is one that is going to be fun to watch. Just checking how they had performed last week. The Hounds managed to win theirs in 3, whereas the Weavers, unfortunately, lost theirs in 3. So both of them having a little more experience under their belts with the 3-game sets. But we'll see whether or not this will be a spot for the Weavers to pull themselves back up. Standings kind of split right down the middle right now. A bunch of 1-0s and a bunch of 0-1s. And this could tie things up either for the Weavers, or we could see the Eldritch Hounds really bump up to the top.
Yeah, I've got high expectations of the Hounds, man. I mean, just looking at their roster, the fact that they've got LAN experience together, they've been playing together for a very long time, and those of you not in the know or you haven't fully adapted to the new SCC branding, the Hounds are Remakami, Oath, Erupt, Crimson, Quig, and Dude Man Bro. Specifically, though, I think some of the standouts on this squad have got to be out of the jungle and the ADC role. Dude Man Bro makes a name for himself with some pretty emphatic interviews at points during one of his LANs. I think is the most diplomatic way to word that, but certainly earned because of his performance at that event. But outside of him, Oath has been phenomenal out of the jungle. For those of you who've been playing ranked or been watching streams, Oath is Oathsea or Ishtao, whatever IGN he decides to play on week of. Regardless, his gameplay always speaks for itself. This guy loves getting involved early on, loves playing very aggressively. And these two have built a phenomenal team around themselves. You see him on the screen right now, Erupt Crimson. That world champion tag earned on console actually played with Bobby, I believe, of SPL fame. So this is a team that has got a lot of experience playing competitive.
It's going to be fun to watch. And like you said, Crimson, I think there's a good reason there's a lot of highlights around Crimson. Crimson, real good at SMITE, as it turns out, in a lot of circumstances, has a very wide god pool, very solid in the mid lane. So something that they're going to need to be worried about on the other side, because you've got Mando Warrior, you've got Jingu Bang, Sops, Dashboard, and you had mentioned him earlier, but Chinfu, who's going to be matching up presumably with Dude Man Bro. A lot that can come into this matchup, and again, just be, I want to say exciting for it. Solo actually pops out because Mando Warrior, you're talking about experience. This guy's been playing at this level of SMITE for years, and years. Same thing in the mid lane. If you want someone to match up against Crimson Sops, I mean, he's been around for a while. He's going to be one of the best to be able to do it.
Yeah, we've got some nicknames for these guys. Sops has been saying it's Sops time for a while there. He's kind of like an infomercial in that way.
That used to be their team name,
Yeah,
right?
It used to be, until we gave him the sick name of the Weavers. Yeah, you're welcome, by the way. Mando Warrior, I think, just born in the wrong region because he loves playing these unorthodox soul laners. He really wants to go towards the Guardians, the Assassins. As J-Mac will say, very against going with the grain. Does not want to play those Warriors despite his own name. So I think maybe he would have found a home for himself a little bit more easily over in Europe, but has been certainly doing well for himself across the pond. Or, you know, not across the pond because we're in America. I promise it's not a bit. We're in Georgia.
Wait, yes. I don't, what?
Well, what do you mean?
I didn't follow enough to understand where you were going.
I'm just telling the fans at home.
Also,
we're in Georgia.
He's not breaking eye contact as well on this one. Either way, I guess we can see what these two teams have to offer here in game number 1. Mifflin, I was trying to look it up and just see things that kind of balanced out between these two teams as we move forward towards picks and bans and all that. And there's, I mean, with 1 week of data, you can imagine not a whole ton that you can really extrapolate from that one. Some fun things, the Anansi Weavers only ever had 1 first pick game, and it was they got Bastet. They lost that game, so maybe not where we want to go.
Goal.
They are going to be first pick here, though,
and
so that is going to be their challenge. If it's Bastet, I've got bad news for you. You're 0 for 1 on that one, but I guess we'll figure it out here. This is where things get interesting. Dynamic shifts from Europe to North America typically when we get to see this. I mean, almost immediately, ESET gets burned off the board. RDO, who's made it through several games, in fact, I believe wasn't even picked or banned in the last set we just watched, is now all of a sudden a high priority over here, and it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, they like playing these guys that can get aggressive early on, similarly start looking towards objectives very early, which is why we see the ESET prioritized very highly in North America, the RDO one that's going to be able to hold her own in lane very well and make some rotations early on. And then you see some targeted bans from the Hounds, right? You don't want to play against this Thoth that you know that Jinkubang's capable of, and, well, despite Crimson being a very good Thoth player himself, now in the first pick slot, maybe worried about seeing that picked up immediately on the other side. That said, Bastet being banned, Gore, we don't have to worry about it for the Weavers. It is Kleena locked in, though. Another assassin has a lot of objective secure, has a lot of flex potential. You're not showing much with your draft just yet.
And if I remember correctly, won every single SPL game she was in last week. Seems pretty good to be able to pick her up first pick. So that's a tall order to match up to. Medusa Bellona on the other side, Mifflin. Medusa we've seen a ton of priority for, not too surprising. A lot of aggression that can come out in lane. Bellona has been a mixed bag. I think in SCC we've seen her first pick, we've seen her last pick, we've seen her anywhere in between. And that's kind of where she's going to be right here in the top 2 over there for the Hounds. And she brings a lot of pressure to the solo lane, especially in this meta.
She does. I mean, the build really does favor her. Death Toll is just such a great sustain tool with those AoE cleave auto attacks thanks to the bludgeon, or even just matching up with the sustain that you've got built into the kit thanks to Scourge. But I think the main strength of Bellona right now, or maybe the main thing that makes her super annoying to play against, is that we're seeing a lot of priority towards auto attackers in the current meta. Auto attack jungles, auto attack warriors, hunters, even to a certain extent we'll sometimes see auto attackers in mid. Bellona has 3 block stacks built into her kit, thanks to that shield bash stance. She's also got a disarm. You can go towards that hide in the Nemean. You're upwards of like 5-6 block stacks now. And then once you're out of the block stacks, you can still disarm afterward. It is so hard to play against this god, particularly when you're a hunter or even an Erlong Shen, who is very telegraphed in his engage. It's, hey, I'm in a turtle form, I'm going to land my auto attacks, I'm going to pin. Now it's, hey, I'm in a turtle form, I'm going to wait 2 seconds, then I'm going to land my auto attacks. Like, it is very difficult. Bellona, a very strong counter pick to the majority of the meta right now.
It's in that weird area where if you go back in time, like, before the shell was nerfed and it gave block stacks as opposed to just reducing auto attack damage, Bellona just didn't get the memo. She's just still hanging out. I guess Athena also gets block stacks. Like, it's not something that are easy to attain.
It's harder for Athena.
But for Athena, it is a little more difficult than, hey, I hit 1, by the way. And it's going to be a very fun matchup to watch that over there. And Mifflin presumably going up against the Kleena here, at least in lane, because of what we've seen. First off, piece of confetti falling right behind you. Caught it out of my eye. Still falling from Worlds. Still worth celebrating. We'll figure out if one of these teams has something to celebrate here in game number 1. Susana is the last lock-in. And so this becomes a much more interesting matchup. You had mentioned a lot of the solo lane. I believe we got to see an Atlas towards the very end there. Atlas is an interesting one to me as well because he has been a heavy presence as of late, and yet he's not getting, first pick, first banned. He really is almost always showing up in the bottom 2.
Yeah, I think Atlas is a very fringe pick in that he is difficult to play. I would equate him to like early Season 8 Yamoja, where she was strong, very, very good. Maybe not the same levels of power because, no walls, no heals, but
no automobiles.
Still very potent on the map, but has a very high skill floor. You have to be specialized in this pick. You need to be very capable of knowing when to use the Astrolabe, how to channel the ultimate in a team fight, and when you want to just throw out the second ability to pick someone up, or whether or not you want to combo it with the first one. When are you allowed to use your dash, or using your dash for cleanses, or to get rid of slows, or you're doing it just to reposition? This god has got a lot in his kit that you have to constantly be actively thinking about, which is why I don't think we see him ubiquitously picked. It's why we don't see everybody going towards him. It's more so a comfort pick for some of these guys.
And it does work really well. A lot of good CC on Atlas, as it turns out, if you can get close enough and if they don't try to immune it out. A lot of beads picked up on the Hounds, I think, in response to that, plus the whole pin thing that you've got going on from the Erlong Shen and the taunt that comes out of Jingu Bang here. So a lot of, not necessarily worry, but definitely safety built up on the side of the Hounds here. Oath locks in the Susano. I feel like we've seen a little bit of it, but like not from anybody that wasn't playing it last year, right? He necessarily, or not hasn't necessarily risen in terms of priority. But people like Panatom still love running this. So Oath, I mean, you had been talking about him earlier. This feels like a pick that could just absolutely pop off. Also could be a non-factor.
Yeah, Oath has got a pretty good history on this pick, and well, looking into the composition that he's lined up against, I think always at least going to be able to find value from that ultimate. Just a really good disengage tool, especially considering Jingu Bang and Mando Warrior are likely going to be playing pretty close up, pretty far forward in some of these team fights, so the Typhoon should be able to find their way to at least those two targets consistently. But you're right to say that Susano has a bit of a double-edged sword, similarly to Erlong Shen, in that when you fall behind on this pick, it becomes very, very difficult to find your opportunities to engage. So Oath going to try and engage a little bit earlier, it would seem.
Trying to open up some sort of opportunity. I don't know if Mando could see him, or if Mando was just sniffing something out, or realistically, if Mando was just losing the lane at that moment, but falls back. Rimikami is going to slam down a little bit.
Oh,
this might
big
be the
whiff.
most aggression. Yeah, with Rimikami missing that damage. It's going to be the forced fallback. And with beads locked in, there's no teleport, so if you fall back to base, that's some free farm for the other side. Although Mando being as low as they are, I anticipate just some health pots ticking up and trying to do their best to balance things out.
Yeah, plus Death Stole for Mikami, so he should be able to resustain. Already has a point in the Scourge, so should be able to take that fight yet again. Had he just connected the Shield Bash, though, that was first blood in the Soul Lane.
Ooh, knockup. Almost, but not enough there. Beads from Dashboard. Keep them alive. And again, very close, but not quite a kill for the Hounds as they start getting aggressive. And this is all over the map. It's surprising to see that it's not translating just yet into invades. Here, we finally get to see one. The Bacchus moving forward alongside Dude Man Bro. And that's going to be at least one perfect invasion. And now Jingu Bang might look for a little bit more first blood on the line. No taunt available. But that's going to be the knock-up. The autos are good. The jukes, not quite.
Way.
No, they are? They're good enough. He gets just out of range from Jingu Bang. And Rimikami lives.
Just perfect pathing there from Rimikami, just able to walk his way into the lane, immediately start to curve his way back in towards that tower, avoiding out all of those auto attacks. But you got to give credit to Jingu Bang as well, just waiting out those beads to make sure that knockup just works for him. Had he gone for the knockup first, probably just lose out on the majority of that kill pressure. But going for the pin first, a little bit easier to confirm some of that CC a little bit later down the line. That said, even when you're playing very well or nearly perfectly, there's some answers, and, well, Rimikami had it.
Yeah, didn't get the kill. Dashboard, no beads available. Goes for some CC, then knock-up. Not going to be good enough. Dashboard gets out of here. Knock-up on the Chinfu. But that's going to be good enough for Chinfu to just say, cool, I'll dash away. I'm Jingwei. This is perfectly fine by me. And so despite the jungler's best efforts, Mifflin, 4 minutes in, and still people are skirting away with their lives.
But only one of these junglers is going to fall off significantly in the next couple of levels, and that's the Erlong Shen. I like to call Mannequin Scepter the, hey, I'm going to be really, really strong until level 7, and then it's just kind of a clear tool towards neutral objectives or camps, because it really does start to fall off in god damage. We're not quite there yet. Jingu Bang's got a little bit of time.
Now Jingu Bang trying to fight, maybe not trying to fight, trying to get out of here. There's going to be a lockdown, and the autos are good enough. Rimikami comes in with the Scourge for the last hit. First blood off of the aggression of Jingu Bang. Tried to steal the camps, and he loses his life.
Yeah, that felt personal for Rimikami. He says, hey, man, you really messed up my lane a little bit earlier. Walks in, picks up first blood for himself, and should be able to equalize that lost pressure that he got up against Mando Warrior. You'll see it now, both of them already level 6, but only one of them going for stacks. Mando Warrior Soul Leader in that first slot. Going to get some additional penetration, some survivability in the lane. Maybe some trouble over here in the duo.
And Dude Man Bro is getting aggressive along with Quig. It seems like that might be all she wrote. No, Dude Man Bro wants a little more. Goes for the ult.
No way.
And low, and there's the belly flop over the wall. That's going to be able to get the kill, but it's 1 for 1 because Sops goes for the rotation. Quig channels the back. I think recognizing there's no safe way to walk out of that jungle. gets themselves a 1-for-1 trade. Rimikami in a little bit of trouble in the solo lane. Damage has been dealt, and the damage seems to be good. The up-down for the stun is going to be better, and there's the hammer to make sure they turn it around. Again, 1-for-1. Let's make it 2 as Oath picks up a double.
That was massive damage from Rimikami. He's got to be maxing the bludgeon, which is curious. You'd think that you wouldn't want to go for that, considering there's a silence in the lane. It should be easy to stop that channeled ability, but Rimikami does so anyway and is massively rewarded for it. I believe that was like 300 damage onto Mando Warrior alone in that fight. It is the bludgeon maxed out first. Wow. Yeah, that damage output, when you're able to stack up the initial hit, again, for every enemy god hit, you're going to do additional damage on the slam down on bludgeon. Yeah, it shows itself there. That is a whole lot. Unfortunately for Rimikami, none of the kills go to him, but fortunately for Oath, who was behind before that fight, both do go to him, and now he's established a lead for himself in the jungle.
You know, I'd always known about the bonus. I play a lot of Bellona, so like that makes sense. Did not realize it was 25% per god.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of damage. I just knew, oh yeah, if I hit you and you, I hit harder. That's all that mattered to me. So that is a good number for Rimikami to be working around with. Now they're leading 4-2. Again, dropping a couple of kills in the process of getting the ones they've picked up, but I see a 2-0 Susanoo and an 0-2-1, now level 7 as you highlighted, Jingu Bang with the mannequins. So all of a sudden I think I'm starting to feel a little bit better about the mid game for the Hounds as we get towards the 7-minute mark. You know, farm going pretty much back and forth. They've managed to get themselves almost, not quite, a full 2,000 gold lead. A little bit of an invade might be all they need. Maybe a kill if Rimikami wants to keep going. That one's not going to end up amounting to much. But purple buff is respawn. Shinfu is either going to be in the wrong area or is going to lose this buff, one or the other.
Yeah, Chinfu's lost all the buffs. I think he's fine with letting another one slide away here. Dude Man Bro beginning the better end of this lane the entire time. As Oath pulled in, dropped low.
Does manage to teleport out of there. Manages to stay safe. That's the power of the Atlas, though, right? In just the blink of an eye, all of a sudden the CC drops you down, locks you up, makes you second-guess things. Still maintains the beats, though. Oath, you know, Crimson all having theirs. Dude Man Bro throws out the ult beads from Shinfu, so no stun comes in. They're both low, but I don't think anybody's going to be, well, specifically, I don't think Dude Man Bro is getting aggressive into that just yet. And instead going to back off, try to get their own purple buff, and then potentially back to the wave. I'm also interested in watching this dashboard versus Quig is a very interesting matchup to me, Mifflin, but Quig's been kind of all over the place and successful.
Yeah, Quig getting involved early on, made some rotations towards mid, allows Dude Man Bro to continually solo farm. It feels like Quig's only really rotating back towards the duo lane to help out with confirming their own purple buff and invading a purple buff. Otherwise, he's generally hovering around mid. As you see now, the Eldritch Hounds 3 stacked, moving in for the fight.
There's going to be a Persephone ult just a little wide. And isn't going to lock anyone down. They do lock down dashboard, though. No way back into lane there. And the rest of the team, specifically Sobs Jingu Bang, have to just walk back, go back under the tier 1 tower. Clean kills Rimikami now potentially cutting off Mando Warrior. And he's got help on the way here. They're going to be walking in just in time to try and cut that off. There's the stun, there's the hammer, and there's the damage necessary. Oath gets credit for the kill. 4-0-1 for the Susanoo, and the Hounds are happy.
Yeah, I feel like Bludgeon did like 50% of Mando Warrior's HP bar there. No defense stacked up just yet for the Kleena. We'll be moving in towards that Breastplate of Valor shortly, I believe. That'll help out a fair deal in this lane, but not quite benefiting from it just yet. This Kleena has not been allowed to farm whatsoever. The Eldritch Hounds, on the other hand, they're farming the map, and they're farming it efficiently. That said, it's the Weavers, actually, who've got the superior draft for neutral objectives right now. They have got very good burn potential. So the Eldritch Hounds need to play cautiously when they decide to either go for the Gold Fury or, in about 30 seconds, win the Pyromancer spawns, and could send their aggression that way. Despite being this far behind, the Anansi Weavers have got pretty good odds in just splitting the map. If we see the Hounds go to gold, between Erlong, Shen, Kleena, and Merlin, Pyro will get removed very quickly, and the inverse is also true.
Something they need to figure out how to work on. 3K gold in the hole for the Weavers already. Just 10 minutes in. We've seen a lot of this in North America, though, several times where a team will bump up, super early on, 2K, 3K gold, and then they'll maintain that for like 10 minutes and then lose just a massive fight either around the FG, around some other big objective. You just highlighted something that they need to be worried about if they're the Hounds. Mikami, it's going to be just fine here. But with pressure, I mean, I see this many people over on right. Either you need some sort of retaliation or you need to be going for a Gold Fury, which right now it seems like retaliation might be on the Hounds' mind. So many bodies on the right-hand side, despite not necessarily going for, an FG this early. Maybe a Pyro, but realistically, it's just to set up some fights.
Yeah, I think the Hounds, if they were to be the ones to aggress towards one of these neutral objectives, should likely be in the duo lane. Dudeman Bro naturally has already pulled one level ahead, hasn't really needed that much help in the lane, playing Medusa up against Jingwei, going to get the better end of the majority of aggression. As you can see, Dudeman Bro clearly not too worried about the lane matchup.
Oh my god, Mando Warrior cannot be left to exist in this lane. 30 seconds in the death timer. Something that we don't typically get to see, I think, very early on. Has gone for the breastplate just to try and sustain and stay alive here. Pyromancer started up by the Hounds, with Mikami coming in to help secure. They're going to pick that up, extend this gold lead a little bit further, and are finding themselves just over the 4,000, potentially pushing even further higher as they continue to strip away camps.
Yeah, the experience, though, I think a little bit more impactful at this point. 6K at the 11-minute mark is ridiculous. You've already got 1 in the solo, 2 in the jungle, 1 in mid, 3 in support. That is significant. Dashboard going to be a good while until A, he gets that Thieves stacked up, and B, can look towards a second relic to try alleviating some of the pressure in these team fights. And then you've also got 1 level in ADC. Well, that's a little bit less. Really going for the crit build as well. Dudeman Bro slows down his own build. Won't really find value from that item until it's completely finished up. But once he does have Wind Demon, these neutral objectives will burn very, very fast.
Speaking of burn very, very fast, Mando manages to survive through that one by going into the wall. He's going to be able to come out and stay alive. Also have to give shout-outs. Chinfu finally gets a purple buff since the first one of the game. They might be able to find a kill as well. CC thrown out onto Dudeman Bro. The ult, not enough to slow them down. Chasing under the tower. The damage is going to be there. It's just going to take a little while. Sops gets credit for that one. Tower shots are doing well, but it's Quig. And now Oath joining the fray. Jingu Bang's in the purple buff, and that's the jungler. That's the target that they want to go for. Not enough damage from Oath, but enough to close it out from Quig. Now they're trying to run away and stay alive. Good jukes, but not good enough. Oath traded out alongside Dudeman Bro, favors the Weavers.
Yeah, Crimson said, this rotation not worth my time. Instead, takes out the mid tower for his efforts. So that was a 4-stack from the Weavers on the left-hand side where legitimately I think Dudeman Bro just gets a little bit cocky in his positioning. Just doesn't respect the damage.
Well, I think Crimson was trying to go for a nice peak solo kill. Drops a ward to watch as Sops walks in the lane, then does still miss everything, unfortunately for Crimson. We caught it all on camera. Now he's trying to get away, gets pulled back. The damage is good. Mando's rotated over. Luckily, Mando level 12 to Crimson's 15. Crimson is out farming the opposing solo lane. He's out farming everybody.
Yeah, Crimson hasn't left his lane and hasn't split too much. While the Anansi Weavers were trying to make things happen on the map, Crimson simply was playing the macro, was simply just farming up, and has already started to hit some very significant power spikes. The double flat pen build start, something that we're very used to seeing by this point, but getting a little bit of CDR from Spear of Desolation, some anti-heal from Divine Ruin. Has already finished up that Charon's coin, though. That's an additional 20% penetration and a pretty large infusion of power. Crimson is going to do a lot of damage to anyone on the map, regardless how much defense they've got built up.
It's going to happen in the blink of an eye as well, so something that you'll have to keep watching for, especially once that ult comes off cooldown. That's a big team fight capability for the Hounds here. Mifflin right now, not necessarily doing too much extraneous from what they were doing earlier. Still hovering around that 4,000 gold mark. Still really dominating in terms of experience as well. Maybe looking for another kill. Dashboard forced to fall away. Mando Warrior making their way over here. Merlin as well as the Jingwei. Everybody except for Jingu Bang. And that might just be all they need. The Hounds have started up the Fury. They're holding on to it. Atlas ult gets thrown off to the side. The damage isn't going to be there. Hounds get the Gold Fury. Mikami takes a couple of shots, but manages to walk away. So they get both of the neutral objectives here as we approach 15 minutes.
So what's the trade? Eldritch Hounds lose beads on their solo laner, so not a massive deal because you're already going towards a slightly more defensive build with that Shogun's Kusari in the 3rd slot. They also lose out on Bracer of Radiance, and they get Gold Fury. Yeah, no, that's a good trade. I'm no mathematician, but that seems pretty good for the Chaos team. The Anansi Weaver is just not willing to step up and defend there. It was a early ultimate from Dashboard, and that really was the only opposition coming their way. Once Atlas ult had been expended and tossed towards Remakami, there was no way, there was no recourse for them. They just had to let it go, especially because, as you said, Jinku Bang didn't decide to show up. So now the Eldritch Hounds,
other side of the map, even.
Yeah, they've got control of the other side of the map as well, because there's nothing to do on the left. I wouldn't be surprised we see the Chaos team group up, try and stack up on this Pyromancer, or maybe even look towards an early Fire Giant.
Yeah, at this point, Dude Man Bro can go for another purple invade if they really want to, although I think Chenfu should be able to secure that one no problem. All by themselves now. So yeah, like you said, back up. Pyromancer's about to respawn. At least a neutral objective that could go in your favor pretty easily. At best, a team fight that could go in your favor at this point with the lead they have. Could potentially mass to a lot. Mifflin, I mean, we're getting close. We're not quite there. We're at like 4,500 gold. But this is still, again, 16 minutes in. A lot that is in favor of them. 5-1-2 for Oath. So a lot of the kills maybe being in one spot. But we haven't gotten to see quite fully what Crimson's damage can be like after all of these upgrades.
No, we have not. Crimson's he's gonna chunk.
Gonna
I'm not gonna mince words. He's got a lot of power built up already and has not had to use his relics even once defensively. So this is a free casting Persephone in these team fights, because the front line of the Eldritch Hounds have been doing the majority of work on their own between Remakami and Oath, or even Captain Quig. Just not an issue.
Now there's a taunt,
Okay.
pulls Crimson in. Crimson's taking a lot of damage here, but manages to get out, throws the
Good
grass
ults.
away, and locks down Sops, but the kills are still running through. So far as support for the jungler, and they might find a little bit more. Sops is so low. Remakami is looking for a little bit more. That last hit not gonna connect. Remakami killed off. Sops manages to live here. A 2-for-1 trade favoring the Weavers.
Yeah, both mid laners actually surviving with less than 50 HP to their names, 49 more than either one of them would have needed. The Eldritch Hounds just caught unaware by that aggression. Dashboard in particular was able to work his way into that back line very easily. I had just got finished saying, hey, Relp Crimson's been free casting the entire time. Not the case this time around. He gets shut down early in that fight.
Well, good news on the side of the Hounds. Dude Man Bro might not have been part of that fight. Does get a tier 2 tower, first one of the game, to be taken down there. So a big gold infusion despite the loss at the fight. Almost able to find Mando Warrior here for Oath. Not quite able to get the kill, and so Mando does sustain and live. But little things, Mifflin. I'm looking at beads that are now down for a solo laner, beads that are on cooldown for a jungler and a mid laner and a support. All of a sudden, the Weavers and their survivability through CC, it's kind of disappeared.
It has. The Eldritch Hounds also, in taking that fight without Dude Man Bro, have got one giant CC tool still available. That Petrify goes unused, and Crimson's ultimate, with all that CDR already built up, is going to be back and available yet again. That said, relic usage is pretty even across the board. Beads still maintained for Remakami, but that's one of your frontliners. You're not too concerned about him having the survivability for himself. Dude Man Bro also holding on to that relic, going to be very impactful in this next team fight. Assuming he rotates. Has not just yet, and has not started just yet either. He's headed back towards base. Got to think we're going to route over towards the Fire Giant on the way back.
I mean, at worst case, maybe you go like down mid, right? like you at least go
Definitely
to
not
some
the duo.
other part of the map. But oh, lo and behold, it's going to be the left side jungle. There's a green buff, so maybe some experience that you can strip away. Also have to look at it. 40 seconds left before that Primal Fury spawns up. Be a risky call to try and go for it. You had mentioned the burn earlier. I think it's only more powerful now. Despite level gaps that are really favoring the Hounds here, you still have to be worried about their potential around any of these neutral objectives, but it is going to be the Primal Fury call for the Hounds. There's a large grouping on the other side. Dashboard's not quite starting the FG, but the minute that audio cue comes through, or if they spot that no one's around here, it might be a little bit more, but no, look at the Hounds here. They're coming in aggressive, and they're going to be able to cut off Mando Warrior and Dashboard. They might get the frontliners if they can lock them down. Remakami forced to beats is going to walk away here. The Hounds not wanting to commit to the fight.
Yeah, the Hounds just want Primal Fury. Seems like it's the only thing on their minds right now as a couple members rotate back over yet again. But the Hounds are at least privy to the fact that the Weavers have not got any presence on the left side of the map. So even in just keeping Remakami around, or even just keeping Crimson around, you feel pretty decent about the fact that the Weavers having no confirmation on their team can't really coin toss a Fire Giant. nothing on the Weaver side is going to match the raw burst damage output of even a Bone Rush from Erupt Crimson, that first ability on Persephone. So, in having Crimson there, you've effectively completely hamstrung the Weaver's ability to look towards that objective. But even with all that said, Ramakami's got no beats.
Yeah, well, does still have ult, closes gap a little bit there, creates some space, and manages to walk away. But that is a huge ult. The Eagles rally that's no longer available. You had mentioned it, enough tanky items. Those beads maybe not as big a deal. Can't get caught out like that again, though. Dashboard showing exactly why this Atlas could just be so potent in some of these fights. I think Quig was very close to learning that lesson, but luckily does double back before stepping forward to where Dashboard was waiting.
Crimson does use his ultimate for Peel there, so another team fight tool lost for the Eldritch Hounds. Beads still 90 seconds left for Ramakami. You're still waiting on that fortifying shell from Captain Quig, so it's going to be a little while until I think the Eldritch Hounds are confident in taking a team fight. But that seems to be the through line for the last 5 or 6 minutes. They've allowed the Anansi Weavers to essentially establish a defensive positioning multiple times around this Fire Giant. Despite having a significant lead, gold and experience favoring the Hounds, experience meaning less and less as the clock clicks onward, as will gold, but at this point 6K still pretty impactful. We have not seen the Hounds confident in their ability to take a 5-on-5 engagement. This is the first time, I believe, in 21.5 minutes that we've seen Dude Man Bro and Crimson near each other.
Yeah, Dude Man Bro has been vibing in the left lane for a long time. I mean, the only thing over there now would be to get the Phoenix.
That's pretty good.
And it is really good to pick up.
Good luck, though.
But definitely something that, well, someone, I should say, that you want in your team fight over here around the FG. Zops is going to pick up some offerings. Yeah, there they are. That Obelisk is about to spawn. I have a feeling that no one's going to walk over there in the event that they do manage to take over that last offering for it. Fire Giant on the board soon enough. We're going to have Pyromancer dancing right back around here. Much easier for the Hounds to try and scoop up. Might be able to force a fight a little bit faster. Dashboard forced the beads away. Soon enough, Ramakami is going to have their beads right back up, so we could see the Hounds continue this aggression.
Yeah, both relics coming up for Captain Quig very shortly as well, about 10 seconds from both of them. But even in just forcing out Dashboard, the Eldritch Hounds pull the Fire Giant. That generates threat. The Weavers certainly privy of it.
Yeah, half health already. They're going to leash that one. Get aggressive. Mando Warrior beats things out and stays alive for now. Ramakami is looking for more and is finding a lot of damage. Stops Mando low. Forced to fall back. Mando goes into the wall. The damage is going to be good. Dashboard, though, gets knocked up, locked down. Ramakami, credit for the kill, and they traded out support for support, but the chase is on. Ramakami has to fall back, and Jingu Bang finds Dude Man Bro. They haven't managed to get the trade out for this one yet, so they're losing 2 for 1, and that's been the last few kills, Mifflin. The Weavers keep coming out just slightly ahead.
Yeah, the Eldritch Hounds just cannot confirm these kills. It's been the target allocation, I think. Mando Warrior is still very tanky, has a lot of sustain in his build now. Soul Eater and Caduceus Shield means that it is very difficult to shut him down. We saw exactly what the answer there was for Mando Warrior when CC'd, which is immediately beads, drop both of his ultimates, and hope that that dot damage is enough to re-sustain him, and so far has worked out very well for him, even holding on to his Aegis throughout that entire engagement. Haven't seen Crimson connect a massive ultimate just yet either, but Mando Warrior steps a little too far forward, too confident in his ability to take that 5 versus 5, tanking up 4 targets on his own, walks up alone, and this time without his team, falls down very easily.
Yeah, it was impressive how different that was. Mando Warrior surviving through so much, and then Mando Warrior just getting shredded very quickly by 2. 7-1 and 3, and you have 30 seconds, let's call it 40, round up, that you don't have to worry about Mando Warrior here. All of a sudden, we're in a much more, I want to say, just comfortable position to start up a Fire Giant, right? You've got 5 people. You can come over here, you force the fight, and you had mentioned it, you know, more damage from the Hounds in terms of secure versus the burn that's going to be available for the Weavers. So we have a little bit of time to work with. Mando Warrior still dead for a little bit longer. And they're going to start up this Fire Giant one more time. Dashboard is going to be around. We've seen a lot of Atlas steals, so you have to be worried about it while that ult is available. And it seems like that's going to be enough caution for them to zone, but not enough for them to drop the FG. It's getting incredibly low at this point. There's going to be the ult drop. The Weavers managed to take that one away, and now the Hounds, they have to search forward, and they have to win this fight. Jump forward from Ramakami because they lost this Fire Giant, they've got 2 kills so far. They're going to make it 3 really quickly. A double kill for Oath, and now the separation from the last 2 give the Eldritch Hounds a little bit of push.
That's a simple play for the Weavers, man. It's all dashboard, just channels the ultimate, tosses it through, and the Eldritch Hounds, 0 respect for that bit of damage. I don't think Crimson was in range to hit it with anything, so it's just Dude Man Bro hoping that his X auto attack would have been a crit, hoping that it would have secured the objective. Still able to trade out 3 members for 0 there. Thought we would see a more concentrated push from the Eldritch Hounds. 3 people dead, still 20 seconds left on the respawn after taking another neutral objective.
Yeah.
Could have been an opportunity to look towards a tier 2 tower and then fall back to gold, or even potentially a Phoenix, considering the minion wave status on the right-hand side of the map. But instead, it's going to be a Gold Fury, just nursing that 5K lead that they've had for, I believe, around 15 minutes. Exactly as you called at the 10-minute mark. They establish it and they hold it.
The problem is you hold it for too long, and eventually it falls, right? That's kind of what we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks during the qualifiers, last week as well. So you can't just rely on the fact that you're ahead.
Can't rest on those laurels.
Yeah, you can't. And so far, they have been. And unfortunately for them, guess what? They lost to FG. And they're hoping that they don't lose the game. Oath has been doing a good job, though. 9-1-3. Feels very, very impactful. 12 out of 14 kills.
He goes nuts, man. Such a talented young man. You got to know that, like, Oath came out of nowhere in the last couple of years. Just erupts onto the ranked scene and then immediately makes his presence known in the SEC. I think he's got a bright future in Smite.
Erupts in the mid lane.
Okay, man.
Yeah, no,
okay,
yeah, I know. I had to. It was there. And, well, did we lose anything for it? Not really. Either way, tier 2 pressure seems to be on for the Hounds. Again, you would have thought they would have done this with a 5v2 number advantage. Now, full 5v5. And the Weavers have stepped up to defend. 2 still have the FG for a minute and a half. And that's sustained. I mean, Mando's been hard enough to kill in these groupings as is. And now all of a sudden they're doing a little more damage and sustaining a little bit better. So dancing around in the wall, alongside that is going to be Jingu Bang. And it doesn't seem like the Hounds have the push pressure they really want.
No, they're just waiting for poke, and, well, Crimson can lock down the entire lane. Now it's time to push forward.
Yeah, Rumikami goes in. There's the up-down onto Chinfu.
He's alone.
But it's going to be Rumikami that gets pushed back. They're chasing down Jingu Bang, and so far they're able to get it. It looked like it was going to be safe for the Erlong Shin, but finally they get the kill. Mando has to be careful on the edge of the wall. And is instead going to go out under the tier 2. The Hounds now in a good position to try and push forward. 47 seconds without the jungler, and now only 1 FG buff still remaining, essentially negligible. And they can walk under the tier 2, and they're going to burn this one down, get themselves some more gold.
Still 40 seconds left on Jingu Bang's respawn. Dashboard no ultimate either. The Eldritch Hounds really only contending with a low HP bar on Rumikami. Might be able to keep up this aggression. If not towards this Phoenix, at least in mid. No Fire Giant for him. It's going to be a slow push.
Yeah, I think that's the deciding factor, right? If you have FG in this scenario, 5v4, you go for the Phoenix.
I go for the ends.
If you have FG, or you don't have FG in this scenario, you walk onto that Phoenix without a minion wave. It's going to take a while before you can get things down. Good news for them is if they take anywhere near, actually I think just by timer and sheer luck, as long as they wait like 3 seconds after this Fire Giant spawns, it's going to be enhanced. So that's going to make things a lot easier for them in totality in the event of the Hounds picking it up. If it's the Weavers, they can either manage a steal or just successfully team fight and get the objective themselves. 3 towers, some Phoenixes standing in their way, but that would be the great equalizer in this game.
It would be. So many towers just left to collect gold from. The Anansi Weavers have got a very strong siege composition. Their base defense is equally strong. Merlin just very adaptable in those scenarios. Ice Stance very good on the siege. The ability to apply that poke very easily, control space with the Ice Storm. Arcane Stance on siege defense to lock down enemy gods, as well as keep minion waves out of your Phoenixes very easily as well. So I'm keeping my eyes on Sops. I think he's going to have to be the difference maker for the Weavers in these next couple of fights. Whereas the Eldritch Hounds, it's pretty clear who their difference maker is right now. He's 10-1 and has 3 assists. And I'm sure he would love to have those to be 3 kills. This Susano is an issue that needs to be addressed. So who can do it for the Weavers? You got to hope that Jingu Bang can close gap and maybe find a 1v1, or Long Shen should generally be able to win out in that fight. Or maybe if Dashboard can lock him down, it's very telegraphed. When Susano engages, it's a teleport forward off that 3rd ability. Set up an Atlas, might be able to pick him up, line up some damage.
That's going to be a big deal. Dealing with Oath So far, they've done it once, and honestly, it's been so long since he died that I genuinely can't tell you how it happened anymore at this point. 30 minutes in, that is an enhanced Fire Giant, started up by Dude Man Bro. You can't play this the way you played the last one, and they are going to leash it, this time a surge forward from the Weavers. And it looks like Dashboard, he wanted something, could have picked up Quig potentially, but instead, the gap was just a little bit too much. They're going to have to fall back from their pressure. Dashboard might even back here. That numbers advantage goes over to the Hounds.
Yeah, Dashboard backing there, maybe just hoping that the Hounds aren't confident enough to immediately pull the fire or just think he's still around. But that is a very dangerous back and already reflected. Fire Giant goes down absolutely for free. Needs your support to help you out in those defenses.
Yeah, Jingu Bang as well was off somewhere in the mid lane. We'll see if that ends up hurting them. It is. So far, Mando Warrior low. Rimakami chasing him down. Chinfu has been eliminated from the game for now. Mando manages to stay alive. Stops Dashboard. Jingu Bang alive as well. But they're going to continue their aggression. Nice little pull from Dashboard. Interrupts the slam from Rimakami. But this is an enhanced at EFG. That's all you need to know. Being able to go under the Phoenix, it's going to burn down pretty quickly.
Yeah, no backdoor protections means no chance for the Weavers. They need to get in there and create space themselves. Dashboard, realizing this, has not reset. Still 50%. He's pretty exposed to damage himself.
Mid Phoenix taking a lot of damage, burned down, and that's enough. Sops is low. Dashboard is even lower. Not sent down just yet, but there's Crimson with the final hit, and he's going to be able to find two at the very end. Oath picks up another, and that's 4 gone. Sops trying to do whatever he can, but there's nothing you can do against 5 with the EFG. In fact, they're going to look for a little bit more. There's the Aegis. And now they're dealing the damage, but Mifflin, it's all over, save for the Titan. They get the kill, they get the deicide.
Well, Chinfu's up.
Chinfu's up. Chinfu
That's the hero.
gets some crits already.
Well, that's one.
And that's a big play for him. They're dropping everything on the Titan to kill him. They're going to get the win, though, and the Eldritch Hounds go up 1-0.
They do. It was shaky for a little while there, though, wasn't it? A couple of Fire Giant fights just don't go their way.
Yeah.
Losing out on the objective itself thanks to a steal from the Atlas, or maybe just defensive positioning, occasionally going over to the Weavers as well. The Hounds were in control for the entirety of this game. I mean, 5K gold lead from the 10-minute mark till the end mark as well. But I don't know. It felt like one more misstep, one more misplay around these objectives, and we very well could be talking about this game continually going on, or maybe even just a Weaver dub.
Yeah, that really weird balance where they were just on the cusp of being able to take it. Unfortunately for the Weavers, they go down here in game number 1. We'll move to game number 2, though, right after this.
But now you're gone, and all I have is time. And though you're not here anymore, I still think about you. 'Cause baby, yeah, I didn't forget you. Hey, no, I didn't forget you, baby. I know we drifted so far apart. And I know we both made
Well, the Eldritch Hounds end up 1-0 after game number 1. But Mifflin, we were touching on it towards the end there, was not an easy and concise victory for them. An early lead, and then that lead just plateaued for a little while, eventually comes to a win. But the Weavers, they get a couple of plays here and there. It makes the ground a little shaky for the Hounds to stand on.
So some intrigue, you know, when you're not playing at that top level, when you're not bringing that cleanliness, that clinical nature to your gameplay, those are the times when you, even though you might be favored, could be looking at a Game 3 situation, could go a little bit further. Can't in this one, though, because there's only 3 games in this set regardless. But I don't know. I feel like the Anansi Weavers, even though they don't win that one, they showed enough to me that I think that they can make this interesting.
What is it, in your eyes, they need to change? Like, obviously, you don't want to go down 5K super early on, so that's probably a big change. I think
that's pretty massive.
I think this guy, maybe get him off Susano. That seems like it'd be a good change.
It would be. Susano definitely one of Oath's picks, right? Like, it's one he's been very comfortable to go towards, but he's also one to play things like the Erlong Shen. I've seen Oath on the Thor in the past. Like, he's got a pretty fair god pool. I think it's more so play on field rather than limiting that pick itself. You said not going 5K down at 10 minutes. I'd argue that's about 80% of it right there. Having to play at a massive deficit for the entirety of a game, legitimately never fun. A little bit less emphasis towards the solo lane as well. I feel like very often we saw early gank attempts from Jinku Bang. It was generally towards that solo lane, and it is very difficult to shut down a Bellona, especially considering the matchup between Erlong Shen and Bellona of having block stacks and a disarm to deal with the majority, the bulk of the damage output of your jungler. So maybe just a little bit of safety throughout the early portions of the game and transition yourself to a mid-game 10-minute, 15-minute state where you're not playing at a 5,000 deficit.
Just try to make sure the gold's a little bit better. Yeah, 13-1-6. Dealing with Oath, well, especially when you're behind, it seemed to be difficult this game. 19 affected kills throughout all of this, 13 of them actual kills. Yeah, Oath looked really solid here. 4-0-10 as well. Have to shout out Crimson. And 0-4-9. Unfortunate for Dude Man Bro. Ended up kind of being the sacrifice for Oath's like success, I guess, overall. Managed to get a couple of good things. Opened up the map on the left-hand side. Got them a lot of that gold lead with the aggression early on in lane. But didn't necessarily find all of those leads. A lot of that comes down to the 25, let's call it 26,000 damage from Oath, and the 28,000 put up by Crimson there. And you had mentioned it, we didn't get to see it as like this big explosive addition, but all of a sudden, you know, these fights start going a little more one-sided, and it's after Crimson gets all of those items online, this Persephone just kind of silently from the back line, hitting as many people as possible. Yeah,
Crimson, I think only once in that entire game was legitimately gone on. Otherwise, generally free casting. Unfortunately for me, it was 2 seconds after I got finished saying he was free casting the entire time. But maybe the Weavers were listening in and realized they needed to close gap onto that Persephone. Regardless, though, things need to change, and P's and B is probably a great place to start.
Well, we can forget the like 3-second window where Crimson was under or in trouble, and then really look at the other 34, however many minutes
all of them
that existed. Yeah, all of it that was still there where, they were free casting. Weavers, once again, I almost just said weave. It's the Weavers, once again, who are going to be the weave that are going to be over here for first pick. And in Mifflin, last time around, it was the cleaner first pick. Jing Wei was up at the top. And I don't think Jing Wei necessarily performed poorly, but I don't know of any other team in the last few months that has picked Jing Wei in the top 3.
I'm going to tell you the only reason you're going to see a Jing Wei pick in competitive that highly prioritized right now. Barracuda just happens to really like that pick, or you're probably scared of the lane matchup. I think it's one of those two. Maybe he just didn't want to play aggressively in that lane. I know we like to have fun with Chinfu. He has had some phenomenal performances in the past, but Dude Man Bro has had a little bit more of a career in the ADC role, has been playing that role at a very high level for a little bit longer. So it could be that he just wanted to play something, Chinfu that is, very safe in the lane. I'd argue if you're going to prioritize safety that highly in your Hunter role, go towards something that fits the meta a little bit more. So Heimdall, not only is he safer, but he also hits harder and is a little bit more versatile in some of these team fights.
Well, a change up. Everything in terms of bans stays the exact same. First pick stays the exact same in Kleena. But last time around, it was Medusa Bellona top 2
you
for the
even know who
Hounds.
you're
This time it's
fighting?
Erlong, Shin, and Soul, which allows both the Medusa and the Bellona to potentially go over here to the Weavers, 2 incredibly top picks. And this Erlong, I mean, it is flexible, but most of the time lately we've been seeing it in the jungle.
We haven't. You know, I wonder what Erlong's global win rate is between the SPL and the SCC together. Because I know we say he's feast or famine, he's feast or famine. He's either going to dominate the game or he's going to do some of the worst stuff you've seen out of the jungle. I feel like the last 10 times I've seen Erlong, he's just lost out. It just seems like unless it's like layers for the Tartarus Titans, this pick has generally lacked in value. That's not to say that it can't still do stuff. That's not to say that it's not still a very strong pick. Mannequin Scepter plus Turtle Form, you're going to be able to find very easy lockdown on just about anybody. But it is a very high-risk play in that the Weavers, in seeing Erlong Shen and probably realizing that it is likely slated for the jungle, can just say to themselves, hey guys, let's play passively for the first 7 minutes. Let's wait till we get to that level 8, 9 mark and this Mannequin Scepter finds a little bit less value. And that really does hamper Erlong Shen as a pick throughout the entirety of the game. You really want at least a small lead on that pick to transition yourself into that mid to late game.
So, excluding games from today, it's whatever's between 33 and 25, the middle of that. What is that, 27 and a half? So he's not been winning a whole
I
time.
think it's like 28, 29.
But he did get banned a lot in the SPL last week. It was 14 out of 19 games, so it falls into like a weird category. Either way, catching up on the bans. Persephone, Medusa, Agni, and a pass ban from the Weavers. AMC, Merlin, and Ho Yi locked in.
Yeah, very, very objective focused are the Weavers yet again. The Merlin, the Ho Yi, the Kleena, all going to be very, very good at shutting down these neutral objectives. Gold Furies will fall very quickly as long as just Merlin and Kleena are together, regardless of whether or not your ADC is there. And then you've also got Bellona with Eagle's Rally. Can you give your team essentially a stim for the entire duration of one of these Fire Giant fights or Gold Fury fights. So the Weavers want to start moving in towards these objectives, but lacking a little bit in secure, whereas the Hounds, they've got plenty of secure, and they've also got very good burn on objectives.
We'll see whether or not the Hounds can take this one in 2 as we move to game number 2 of this set. And the Amus and Cobb, the Ymir that close things out, a couple of popular picks in the SPL. The Ymir, one that can absolutely change the pace of a game and also end up, well, not necessarily ruining as many team fights now that you can collapse the wall, right? So you can balance things out there. Good stuns, good damage. It's AMC over there in the mid lane, where we've seen him a little bit more often. Dude Man Bro rocking the Soul up against the Ho Yi.
I am curious about that lane matchup. Does Saporate going to make it very difficult for Chinfu to actually use his ultimate in the 1v1, just able to walk your way out of there? Is Soul. Early game, you're probably still favoring Soul as well. I'm talking like levels 1 through 3, just because Gilded Arrow plus Soul's passive is super strong. You're autoing for upwards of 90 once you have that heat fully stacked, even at level 1. As opposed to what I'm assuming is like 68 to 70 for Chinfu on the other side. So, looking at the Eldritch Hounds, you'd expect the guy with an ADC in the lane would probably be the more aggressive, but between Ymir and Soul together, you probably don't want to line up against that as the Weavers. You're waiting for Quig to leave and not come back.
Yeah, especially up against, I mean, Khepri, you know, does decent damage. Ho Yi,
yeah, sure.
Kind of okay, clear. Not the best clear on the side of the
pretty
Weavers
bad.
is the best way to look at it. So yeah, it should be maybe a little more lopsided for the beginning of this one. But you do have to look not just at the lane phase and how this is going to shake out. I'm looking at late game team fights. You had mentioned the interaction between Dude Man Bro and Chinfu, but I actually go to dashboard when I get a little worried about team fights specifically for the Hounds. And it's just because having that revive available, you know, if that's Bellona, that's Kleena, that's somebody on this team that's just all of a sudden going to be back, admittedly at half health, but still back in the fight. And that causes, you know, the Hounds to have to kill a 6th man, essentially, every team fight.
And it's very difficult for single target compositions to deal with a Khepri. As Sobs dropped low. Auto attack from Oath. Going to secure first blood for the Eldritch Hounds. That's exactly what Urlog Shan needs. That's exactly what you picked this god for. The ability to get involved at level 2, at level 3, get into that mid lane and make something happen. Oath able to do it for this team. But as I was saying, Khepri is a pick that is very good at dealing with single target damage. And that is exactly what the Eldritch Hounds have got. Between Crimson, even Dude Man Bro to a certain extent, despite being an AoE mage, Oath, all these guys just looking at one person, consistently putting out damage over time. It's not so much about the burst potential of these picks. Khepri could have an easy time lining up those ultimates.
Oath trying to get hands on all over the map. Gets the knock up there as well. But I'm having deja vu of Bellona being able to turn a fight around Rimikami. Knocked down despite the gank. And now Oath forced to run away. Try to balance things out here. Level 4 to level 4. And a Shillelagh pick up there for Rimikami. A long, lonely walk back to the lane.
Yeah, did my eyes deceive me? Did Rimikami dash into that tower? Oath may have bit off more than he could chew. 1v2. And Mando Warrior going to put the second one on his belt. This Bellona has now pulled pretty far ahead. Rimikami just walking back to the lane thinking to himself, man, it was pretty bad when I died. But now that he's got 2 kills, it's going to be very steep, an uphill battle for this Achilles to find his footing yet again in the lane. Just now ticking over to level 4, whereas Mando Warrior's headed back to base at 5.
And already Oath has matched the number of deaths in game number 1. So a great change up from the Weavers just to kill Oath early. We'll see if they can consistently do it. I think is going to be the key here. Taunt available now for the jungler. Rimikami going to take a little while longer before hitting level 5 there. And what a good turnaround. I mean, Bellona, 2 kills. You've got control of the lane. With the rotations we were seeing out of Rimikami, and specifically out of Mando Warrior last time as well, feels like might be a little more hands-on than the Kleena was for the solo laner. And so Weaver's off to a good start already, despite the first blood loss.
They are. The gold lead still pretty significant for the Eldritch Hounds, though, so not too bad for the Chaos team. Even holding on to experience, the Hounds just getting the better end of the majority of the map. I'd say it's largely focused around the duo lane. The majority of neutral farm there has gone over towards this soul. But it could be a 2v1 for Dude Man Bro if he's not careful. Dashboard does not connect the root. Dude Man Bro should be able to just walk out of there with his life. But maybe with some help, can take a fight.
Yeah, Oath is here. Dude Man Bro takes a lot. 2-man taunt, and there's going to be the ult from Dude Man Bro. Damage is good, and Chinfu goes down. Oath able to help clear up 1. Dude Man Bro's just trying to stay alive. Good wall and good ult. Oath is going to be able to pick up the kill with the slows from Quig for the assist.
Yeah, and that is exactly what you need Oath to do, right? I mean, that's the answer, isn't it? You go over towards the soul lane, it doesn't work out for you. Now Mando Warrior is going to be pretty safe in this lane, thanks to his beads and having a CC immune ultimate, meaning that really there's not much this Urlong Shen can do there, so instead he sends his attention elsewhere, rotates over, and makes sure that fight goes their way as Crimson finds himself a solo kill in the center of the map. Haven't had a chance to talk about AMC just yet, Gore. Let's talk about it for a second. He's one of the highest pressure ADCs you could pick up thanks to that ability he just tossed down. The only paintbrush targeter in the entirety of SMITE, but also just incredibly strong. You've got great burst damage between the Stinger and the Swarm of Bees. You're also shredding defense on anyone you connect that ultimate with. AMC a pick that is versatile, but very easy to shut down for junglers. Doesn't have a whole lot of mobility. So if Jinku Bang can close gap, I would argue that Kleena ultimate might as well just be a wall for AMC. You do not want to walk through that.
Yeah, something that you're you're gonna have to be worried about, I think, if you're the AMC here. But I'm now perplexed that you mentioned it, but having the only paintbrush targeted ability in the game.
Oh yeah.
We got to start pushing for a new god to get one of those somewhere down the line.
You'd think it'd be Zhang Kui, right? You'd think.
He's got a literal paintbrush. Yeah, maybe
doesn't work.
Somewhere out there, and it would. I can't think of anything in his kit that would work with. Supernova technically counts,
that's not a paintbrush, all right?
Well, because the ability comes out.
It's all
in
circles.
Bursts.
They're all little circles.
It's all little circles. I guess it's kind of.
That's
a
like saying
though.
Agni Ultimate's a paintbrush. You know what, Doug? Is Doug our cameraman today?
Well, but you only press 3 times for each Agni ult. You press once for solo.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. I'm right. Okay.
Because of the way the ability comes out, I think.
Yeah, it's all circles.
You quite literally just paint honey on the ground. I can see where you're coming from. I do think it is drastically unfortunate. Soul is literally right there in the game.
Yeah, Doug, we're on a team, man. Why are you trying to make me look bad out here? That's crazy.
We'll see. Oh, wow, Taunt going to get left over here. If Oath can get a little bit more, Freeze is still going to be good. Those suns don't matter, but the res. Oh, the Solar Blessing, or the Scarab's Blessing, a little bit better here. And Chinfu manages to maintain that death column at just 1.
Gore, can you be completely honest with me?
Okay.
Do you think Soul Ultimate is a paintbrush targeter?
I mean, by merit of what a paintbrush targeter is, yes.
Okay, so it's... Honey's
I
one of 2.
I agree with you that the way the ability comes out does not necessarily lend itself in the same, like, thought space as what a paintbrush
But no,
would
you
do.
answered the question already, Gore.
Yeah.
You don't have to spare my feelings.
Okay.
Honey is one of 2 paintbrush targeters in the entirety of Smite.
And they got both of them, baby.
They got both. Maybe Team Paintbrush. I like it.
Team Paintbrush. It was now, but I still want more in the game. That my point still stands. I'd like to see as many as possible. Well, maybe not as many as possible. Like 2 more would be pretty cool over the next
50
couple
more.
of years. We'll see whether or not that makes a difference for them. The Honey, a good slow for you, good setup. You had mentioned it, Stinger as well. I think a very important part of this AMC kit. Maybe some aggression. Nope, just neutral farm for the Weavers and the Hounds here. I thought they were going for a little bit more of a fight. And Dashboard, at least showcased earlier in the last fight, exactly why you have to be worried about this Kepler. You had mentioned a bunch of single target damage on the Hounds, and one guy who can stop one single target from dying on the Weavers balanced itself out pretty wildly.
But there is an answer for the Hounds in the team fight phase. It's not going to come up anytime soon, but once Remakami is able to rotate out, get involved in these engagements, that Execute can just completely bypass the Scarab's Blessing. So Dashboard, you're going to have to play cautiously when Remakami's around. Speaking of caution, we're going to have to see a fair bit of it from Chinfu going forward. He decides to take a fight up against Dude Man Bro on tower line, loses out on that engagement, and in that same breath also loses his beads, now susceptible to some pretty easy ganks. Oath in particular probably salivating at the thought of rotating towards that duo lane.
Already making their way through mid. And now maybe a startup for a Fury over there on the left, whereas here on right, Remakami is not going to be able to find the Execute. Mando Warrior manages to heal just enough through there. Ymir ult going to drop down. There's some Honey, and there's both of the paintbrushes dropped in one spot, Mifflin, in order to pick up their Gold Fury. Dashboard drops the ult on themselves. Oath is in a little bit of trouble. Good wall from Quig, keeps the separation, but Oath still goes down so far. 1 for the Gold Fury, might find 2. Crimson, incredibly low, doesn't have the damage, might not have the safety. Tier 1 tower, 9 minutes in. It's going to try to do all it can alongside Quig to make sure that they stay alive. Instead, it's a red buff invade. They still lose it. I don't know if I like Crimson peeking their head back through, but they stay alive. So 1 plus the red buff for the Gold Fury.
And it's a largely net neutral trade. Essentially, the Weavers have the rewards of a Gold Fury for the Eldritch Hounds, but at this point in the game, they experience the gold largely about the exact same as what we saw in Game 1. Actually, half of what we saw in the gold department experience, still around that same level. But that said, the Anansi Weavers doing a very good job of maintaining at least some bit of parity across the map. Largest separation still in that duo lane, Dude Man Bro and Captain Quig just by and far ahead of their contemporaries. I mean, Dashboard hasn't been farming up super efficiently on the map. Seems like he's essentially said, hey guys, please pull ahead or at least maintain even because I'm going to sit in the jungle for the most part. And in doing so, he's at least kept Sops close in levels to Crimson. He's at least allowed Chinfu to maintain some bit of parity up against Dude Man Bro, but at his own sacrifice now.
Yeah, it's definitely been costing a little bit of experience and I think of just pressure. Chinfu down 2 levels, so a little uncomfortable there.
Yeah, no fun at all for him.
Yeah, despite the lead that like Jingu Bang has over Oath specifically. So I know back and forth there between these two. Pyromancer started up, and it should be burned down. Remakami's in the neighborhood. Yeah, I didn't think anything wild was going to happen there. Remakami helps keep that true, watches the Pyromancer go get taken. And all of a sudden, Mifflin, we're back, within just a couple thousand gold of each other. The Weavers, just a little bit behind. Nothing that's going to be too crazy in favor of the Eldritch Hounds. Even though we're still early on, 11 minutes in, this is something they were playing against last time.
My God.
Chinfu, who just barely lives through that one. 3 levels down on the soul. If Feels every
Good
bit
wall.
of that damage. Great wall over there. Rumikami first forced to fight 2. Dashboard burned down. There's the Scarab's Blessing. Gets the res. Still dies anyway. Stinger picked up by Crimson, and that's going to be fine. Rumikami lives through the 2-man tower dive. And is a kill pickup for the Hounds.
Yeah, Rumikami will at least lose out on his blue buff, so something there for the Weavers, but they're going to need to find something more to match up against this pressure. Tier 2 tower in the dual lane starting to be looked at now. Jinfu nearby, but having panic ulted just moments ago, will not have that available to lock down that lane. So now the Eldritch Hounds, like Bandits in the Night, will make away with their giant bounty. Now 4,000 gold.
12 minutes.
Yeah, early on. We're getting that exact same spot as what we saw in Game 1, but we're also in the exact same spot in that both neutral objectives that are feasible at this portion of the game have fallen. Pyromancer and Gold Fury not available for the Eldritch Hounds to push their lead. Could potentially see them start to group up, look towards mid, look towards the Soul Lane tower as well. Try and maintain pressure, force the Anansi Weavers to group up and answer difficult questions. But if we use history as any indicator, we're going to be looking at a fair deal of macro play for the next couple of minutes while we wait for these objectives to respawn.
This is an interesting pickup. I mean, 12 minutes in, a Tier 2 tower is an impressive feat for, I think, the Eldritch Hounds here. Took a little bit longer for Dude Man Bro last time around to be able to get that amount of pressure. In fact, straight up dodged a fight with his team in order to get that amount of pressure. So big win for them there. A lot of experience gap, again, 2 levels there specifically for the carries. A level for your supports as well. But Quig has spent more time in mid than maybe fighting anywhere else. That wall also crucial to a lot of these team fights. But like you said, maybe in this position, it's either going to be individual picks or patience. 45 seconds for the Oni Fury to spawn in. Seems like a little bit of damage, some pressure in mid. Should be able to knock down this Tier 1, no problem. And they're going to be able to back off the Hounds, that is. Just a little bit stronger and a little bit more gold in their pocket.
Yeah, I like that play, that micro play from Quig to walk into the Tier 1 tower before the minion wave, just to make sure that backdoor protections does not channel itself as Oath. A little bit off the mark with a 9 turns blessing, avoided by Dashboard, just using that abduct to get himself out of dodge. But that is a pretty large loss now, and team fight presence for the Eldritch Hounds. And a pretty poor timing as well. Oni Fury already starting its respawn, 10 seconds left till that one rejoins the map. And well, Oath is not just 10 seconds away from his ultimate. It's going to be a little while. Could potentially see this entire team fight go down, and Oath not get that cooldown back.
Yeah, it's going to take a little while. Already, though, a grouping from the Hounds around the Fury. They're not looking for the Fury just yet. There, Dude Man Bro is going to start it up. Quig is in the area. Oath gets aggressive, and there's going to be the wall. The lockdown's good, and Dashboard, again, Scarab's Blessing on themselves. The damage follow-up, it's enough to get the kill, and Dashboard goes down. Doesn't have that ult available for their teammates. Stinger going to be going on long cooldown here for Crimson.
It will, but I think that's a trade he's willing to take. Dashboard dead for 20 more seconds, and Rumikami, this is ever the indicator that a team is looking towards a Gold Fury, has had their Soul Laner rotate out and start moving towards this objective. Should be able to act as an iron wall to keep Chinfu at bay. Gold Fury, though, Oni Fury, that is 50%, but not burning quick.
I'm surprised they didn't start it up a little bit sooner. Thrown out and secured by the Hounds, although Chinfu right next to being able to steal that one. Luckily, it's the pin that finds the secure here around. Not exactly the ability you want, getting the last hit on any objective there. So now I'm starting to have flashbacks, Mifflin. All of a sudden, the Hounds, you look at secure. I mean, I guess you could throw out, once Supernova's available.
That's good.
That's real good at doing that.
Ymir
I almost
ult?
want it exclusively Ymir ult. Yeah, so hopefully they'll have those around
Stinger?
some FGs. Quite literally anything other than pin. I think feels pretty good about it. We'll see whether or not
Swarm
that happens
of
around the Fire
bees.
Giant.
Just keep naming abilities.
Yeah, okay. You named the ones that I was thinking of. What's Ice Carpet called?
Glacial Strike.
Is it called Glacial Strike?
It sure
pretty
is.
Cool. It's Ice Carpet.
And you know what, Doug? You've been fact-checking me today. No, I see you hover. Don't do it, man. Don't do it. Oh.
Nailed it.
Okay. Wow, Doug. I thought we were boys. That's crazy.
Well, that was just to highlight.
Doug must have knew I was right?
Yeah,
like, he wouldn't have done it.
That was not just to prove you right, but to showcase what the ability does. I called it Ice Carpet, which I think is a really good descriptor for it. But slowing people, throwing some damage out there,
apply
that
frostbite.
was good to really throw it out. A good passive on this Ymir as well. Not often that you get to bring up the passives, but frostbite, a solid one. Pyromancer, earned by the Hounds. And they might want a little bit more than that, getting aggressive, at least in terms of positioning on the right-hand side. Looking for a taunt is going to be Oath, pulled in by the Khepri. and some damage
Ooh,
thrown out
good
by the
ult.
clean. There's a good re-engage from Mando. Mando gets frozen. The damage, though, Crimson Oath forced to fall back too low. Rimikami doesn't have a lot to stand on. Does have to beads out the root. Good wall slows down the aggression. Mando trying to lead it. Better Honey as well, slowing things down.
Hold
With
on.
this many backs, Fire Giant started up by the Weavers.
Dude, Man Bro puts a good deal of damage in towards Sops, dropping him down to 50%. That should be enough to keep the Anansi Weavers on their toes around this neutral objective. But even in doing that, they shouldn't have given up this much positioning. Eldritch Hounds, they're walking in.
Ooh.
Had that freeze, had that wall been a little bit better, Quig could have connected and would have likely cost Mando Warrior his life. No ultimate available for the Soul Laner of the Weavers. The Eldritch Hounds, though, they've recouped their losses. They've regened their HP. They're all hovering around 80% at the lowest. Could be that they regroup yet again and try and move over towards this Fire Giant yet again. That said, looking at the relics, one team comes out far and ahead. That's the Anansi Weavers. They've still got so much available. Surprised to see this, though, from Dashboard. I was expecting the Phantom Shell. That is Fortifying Shell. When the HP shield drops off, you're going to gain additional movement speed, but you're not dealing with the walls. Could have just been a ghost, you know? Could have just been a Phantom. Because Captain Quig has been getting some really good lockdown from these walls.
And they have been on point. I mean, again, even that last one you had mentioned, like if it was like a shift to the left, or I guess right from our perspective, all of a sudden, Mando's just dead. Little things like that, you wouldn't have to worry about that if you had a Phantom Shell. Well, I guess Mando in that circumstance absolutely still would have because that shell wasn't there for him. But
no,
general speaking,
and anecdotally,
yeah, it would be a little bit better for them. So it's going to be fun to watch how this one shakes out. Not yet level 12, so no second relic there for Dashboard. Meanwhile, we've got the Bracer and the Frenzy online for Quig. So if they want to do damage, they're going to do it, and they're going to do it fast on the side of the Hounds. They're still grouping up a little bit more focused on the right-hand side. Fire Giant, you know, still on the board with no Pyro, no Fury. Makes a little more sense not letting that one go. Dashboard has ult, so a lot of the good reset options are available.
Yeah, Doug caught it before I could say it. Dude, Man Bro does not want to be with his team. He's showing himself on the map now. So the Anansi Weavers should realize they've got a small opportunity while the Soul isn't present. Chinfu, though, has made the rotation over, so that opportunity is immediately lost. Gotta think the Eldritch Hounds just want to start grouping up on the Fire Giant. They're in the exact same position as we were in Game 1. I'm getting the wildest sense of deja vu. But from this position, your best answer as the team in the lead is to force the Anansi Weavers to answer questions. Force them to play your game. How do you do that on current map state? You group up on an objective. Could be Gold Fury, could be Fire Giant. Probably the Fire Giant. Force the Weavers to show up and put up a defense, because this 6k gold lead means less and less as time ticks on. So you want to use it when it's at its maximum. Min-max your gameplay, force a fight.
Force a fight while you have your relics up relatively cleanly as well. Bracers down, but that's it on the side of the Hounds. So something that they could try to either burn some relics on the other side, like you said, something, anything that could potentially pressure the map. Gold Fury's respawning, and I can't help but notice Crimson's over on that side of the map.
He can solo it,
Could
for sure.
solo it, but do you want to? At this point in the game, I mean, if they know you're not here, I think that's a good spot for the Weavers to try and move forward for the FG. And the Hounds on the other side, I think exactly like you said, you know, you've got to leverage this lead somehow. Whether that's forcing a fight on fire, rotating a couple people over, taking a Gold Fury, getting even more gold in your favor, and then forcing a fight on fire. I think no matter what, we loop around to one common denominator. Force a fight on fire, or force a fight in general.
Yeah, anywhere on the map.
It doesn't have to be at fire, just it could be under the tier 2.
Yeah, the fight will not come, though. They pick up a Gold Fury for themselves. Gold in pocket makes not for a lead, so even in taking the Gold Fury for themselves, the Eldritch Hounds will not pull themselves further ahead until they have all reset back towards base. So far has just been Oath, who decided to pick himself up a finished Magi's Cloak, and now a Sentry Ward as well can start moving in towards this team fight. Also even a short bow, so a small power spike for the Erlong Shen. Everybody else on the Eldritch Hounds regroup on the Fire Giant. In just posturing in the Fire Giant pit, the Anansi Weavers don't have to concern themselves so much. In Smite, you can look through the Fog of War, you can see the VFX of the Fire Giant once it's been aggroed. Has not been aggroed, no reason to step up.
Pyromancer started up Rumikami, potentially
find a
caught
pick.
out here, and if they get this pick, it's going to be a huge deal.
Oh my
gets
God.
him out of there, but that's a TKO.
Oath?
It's incredibly low. Jingu Bang is in the wall looking for the damage, not able to find it just yet, but is still going for the chase. Goes under the tier 2, is going to be able to get the kill, but loses their life in the process. 1 for 1, like you said. Mando's half health, going for the blue buff wall. Separates the fight slightly. Dashboard still has that ult available. So the Weavers with an advantage. And now with the health advantage, numbers advantage, they're going to fall back towards the FG pit. No, they're going to go for the fight, and they're going to try to pull in Quig instead. It's the delete button on the Dashboard. Quig takes a lot of damage. Wall is good, and that is going to force the Weavers to fall back.
2-for-1 trade. Dude Man Bro still very healthy. Erupt Crimson leading the charge forward. Chinfu digs in his heels, loses the Aegis.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of damage. Just need one more auto. Someone hit him. Rimikami is going to get the credit for that. Mando goes up, down, stuns good, but the damage isn't there. Double kill for the solo laner of the Hounds, and now that Fire Giant is looking a lot more scrumptious.
It is. Pyromancer, though, going to be the target first. Dude Man Bro and Crimson still very low HP. Only Sops in range to put up a defense. Takes about 10 seconds to walk from base to the Fire Giant pit proper, so it would have been 10 seconds from Dashboard's respawn until you saw him get there. Jingu Bang synced up in the timers, would have got there around the same time. Eldritch Hounds, in taking the team fight, do not decide to stick around on the Fire Giant. Dude Man Bro, pretty low HP, as was Crimson. Both have lifesteal available in the build. One has some self-sustain, both do actually, from the passive from Hives, but regardless, reset and start to take the fire in what could be a 3 versus 5 now.
Yeah, you have to be able to get the damage where it is necessary. A lot more numbers on this side. Stop's not available. There's going to be a good wall. Dashboard has ult. Dashboard gets it off, but guess what? I know what's going to happen. Replay the exact same kill. Yeah, there it is one more time. So you drop one, you go for FG. Mando, not Mando, it's Jingu Bang this time around on the cleanup. Going to be here. Standing on a ward is Quig. They can see the FG health, but it looks like they're going to play this one a little wiser. The Weaver's not going to stand
in
around.
trouble.
Sops is going to get rooted out, pinned down.
Bad ult.
Oath is going in, but misses pretty much all of the CC. Nope, just all of the CC, and isn't going to be able to find the kill.
But at least he forces Flicker out from Sops. You know, I started that sentence before looking at the relics, and I was going to say, like, beads. Not the case. Sops maintains both of his relics this time around. Oath loses out on just his ultimate, which should be coming up relatively shortly. That said, we're not focused on Oath. We're focused on the Phoenix.
Yeah, and this is where that frenzy comes in handy. Burned down so fast. Damage onto Dude Man Bro is good, though, and Jingu Bang gets the kill. This could be a big turnaround. Jingu Bang's low. One more hit, and Crimson gets credit for that one. Oath is rejoined the fray and is looking for the damage. Dashboard's low, and Dashboard gets taken down. Rimikami, credit for that one. The fight, though, is split. Oath gets spread through. Mando is going to be able to take them down. Crimson with the damage. Rimikami still low, and this is looking like a good fight for the Weavers. They're going to keep going forward. Quig is just one man standing. Good wall separates the fight, but the Ymir is slow. Finally, a little bit of honey. The slam down might not be enough to chase him, but Mando is sticking to him. Goes for the ult. Quig roots himself potentially for death there. That Frostbound Hammer putting in a lot of work.
It was. The Eldritch Hounds just very curious in that team fight allocation. They do take down the Phoenix at least, so at least Crimson maintains the Fire Giant buff, and they removed one bird from the map, permanently weakened for the rest of the match, but going to be the easiest bird to defend for subsequent Fire Giants. You got to think that whole fight goes a little bit better had Erupt Crimson landed the Stinger off of Captain Quig's initial freeze. It was Jingu Bang who was frozen out in the back line. Stinger goes wide, and then you have to dedicate a lot more time to finishing off that cleanup. Buys time for the rotation in for Mando Warrior, who finds, I believe, was a 3-man ultimate with that Eagles rally. 3-man stuns generally will win you team fights, and it does so here for the Anansi Weavers yet again. And this is it, that slight misstep, that spice of life that we saw in Game 1 coming to fruition yet again in Game 2, keeping things interesting. One more team fight like that, we're looking at a dead even game. I mean, already, looking at the builds, it's only 6 items separating some of these guys, and some of them on the Eldritch Hounds have not gotten to that point in their own builds. Relics still waiting to get upgraded for both of these teams. This next Fire Giant is not a foregone conclusion.
Not in the least. Hounds get the Primal Fury, and they get the Eagles rally out of Mando. And it doesn't look like they're going to find the full chase down they might want, but this is good pressure. I mean, at this point in the game, you could probably take that tier 2 no problem with this kind of composition. And it looks like that's where they're going to set themselves up, fighting off the fire minions on right. That's where Jingo Bang is. So all of a sudden we end up in a very, well, I want to say precarious spot for the Weavers. Could go downhill for the Hounds if the fight goes like last time. There, once again, Frenzy.
Early.
This time they're not going in. They don't have the damage onto the Phoenix. They're not going to burn that one. Instead, it's health bars on the side of the Weavers that get taken down low here. But now they might not have the burn they need for the objective.
I don't know. That damage output from Crimson has been enough to separate this team fight a fair bit. Dude Man Bro finds himself in no man's land. Can't just walk out. He's surrounded.
Is going to have some help, though. Is 1-for-1, but Rimikami going huge here and is starting things up. They get 2 kills, but they lose Dude Man Bro. Up, down, Mando doesn't
Triple.
even get to land. Rimikami with a huge triple kill. Jingu Bang, though, finds a second and is pulling this back. Look how low Quig is. You have to be careful. Jingu Bang looking for a third and is going to be able to find it, balancing things out. And now Rimikami's looking for more, but Crimson isn't helping him. They do get the Phoenix, but 2 people alive. The Swarm a little slow. Jingu Bang and Sops live through this one. And it's a long time with no one on the board.
Hey, tell me if you heard this one before. Eldritch Hounds trade out 4, take down a Phoenix. For the second time this game, Gore. At least Crimson holds on to the Fire Giant buff for the last 3 seconds of it. That is a massive win for the Eldritch Hounds at the end of the day. Having taken out at least 1 more bird, desynced with the right bird, so now Fire Giant going to be alive while that mid Phoenix is still dead, whereas that right Phoenix should have time to respawn. And it's a little bit more valuable, a little bit harder to defend enhanced minion waves going down the center of the map. But you got to think that it was just early aggression and maybe a bit of a miscommunication from the Eldritch Hounds on the initial siege. It was the frenzy pop from Captain Quig a little bit early in the fight before Dude Man Bro or Crimson were in range to put any damage in towards that Phoenix. And you could see the cogs turning in their heads. Crimson says, well, I'm not walking in there, man. That's an early frenzy. That's dangerous. There's a team fight happening right now. Whereas Dude Man Bro said, I am frenzied. I am going to get in as far into that team fight as possible. He uses to separate the closed gap on it and then finds himself surrounded by the entirety of the team. Luckily for Dude Man Bro, Rimikami there picks up a triple kill and buys a little bit more time for this soul. But at the end of the day, still a team fight that could have gone a little bit better for the Hounds. Great defense from the Weavers to punish some of that over-aggression.
Greater Scorpion at this point doesn't do a lot. Good wall. Forces the dash out of Chinfu, as well as Dashboard, forcing to fall back a little bit further. So positioning for the Hounds a little bit better. Burn on the Fire Giant's going to start up here. They almost immediately leash it because they got Mando Warrior. Do they have them where they want them? Damage doesn't seem to be there. Yeah, the follow-up, not that great on terms of that. And instead, it's Quig who gets pulled in. Quig, who's getting deleted and has no backup here. The Ymir, first one gone, the Weavers, with a great start to the fight.
Yeah, the Eldritch Hounds just give up so much space there. I mean, Quig's very clear in his communication. He says, guys, I want to get aggressive. We want to establish the defensive positioning. Moves up forward, finds the freeze, no follow-up onto Mando Warrior. You can see it, every ultimate still available for the Eldritch Hounds except for Dude Man Bros. Maybe had we seen a 9 turns blessing, a turtle form, a stinger, something along those lines, the stinger would have gone a long way, specifically for the defense shred capacity of that ability on this tanky target in Mando Warrior. But nothing of the sort comes his way. And then instead, Captain Quig left high and dry, completely alone in the back of that. It just loses out on his own life, and the team fight immediately afterward. 4 seconds left on this Ymir's respawn. Still no time for the Anansi Weavers to push this lead. Takes about 10 seconds to walk to the Fire Giant, so slight opportunity here.
It's going to take him a little while, like you said, to rejoin the fight. Relic's pretty much coming back up. We're missing, what, just the Frenzy from Quig right now and the Blink from Jingu Bang on the other side. Fight potential through the roof. And honestly, for the Weavers, look, this is a 13,000 gold lead, Mifflin.
It's big.
And it does not feel like it. I mean, you had
not.
highlighted earlier, you can still see it in the items. It's still separate, but it's not making a huge difference here. 2-0-10 for the mid laner on the Hounds. Good freeze on the dashboard. The damage follow-up is there this time, and Dude Man Bro gets the kill, but might lose his life in the process. Aegis pays its weight in gold, and they're able to get rid of Jingu Bang. Now they're going to continue forward. Chinfu is gone. That's 3 for none so far. The Weavers are falling apart, and that's going to be the full-on deicide right down mid lane through the Phoenix, and the Hounds win the set.
How does Oath win that fight, man? He was like 1 auto attack from dead. 9 turns blessing, procs the heal just in time to maintain his life, and the Eldritch Hounds had already won the team fight elsewhere on the map. The Anansi Weavers well, they'd been able to save themselves a couple of times in a couple of these Fire Giant dances. Hard ask to do it that many times in a row, especially in this kind of deficit.
Now they pull the Titan right as the Phoenix respawns. They still get the damage. They get themselves a win. North America gets, I believe, its first 2-0 of the year for the SCC. A good performance, not as dominant. I mean, you look at the gold charts for this.
It's deceptive.
And it showcases, hey, this team has been thrashing. You watch the actual game, nowhere near as much of a lead as it feels like the Hounds have, but they still managed to pull it ahead. That's a great team fight for them at the end.
Yeah, the Hounds are reminding me a bit of previous season Oni Warriors in that they are consistently establishing a lead, and it's a significant one. It's not as if they're like, oh, we're like 1,000 gold up for the entirety of the early game. It's 5,000 gold lead 2 games in a row at the 12-minute mark. But it's a very long time between we've got the lead and we've done something with it. If the Eldritch Hounds can just expedite that process, pay the extra $20 for the shipping to get yourself to that late game team fight a little bit earlier, it's going to be very difficult to deal with this team in the future.
Well, we're going to break down more of that game, talk about the Eldritch Hounds a little bit more in depth, and of course look towards the later sets here in North America right after this. The Eldritch Hounds find themselves a victory here, and I believe Mifflin now push themselves up 2-0 in the standings. We'll look at that in just a little bit. As we look at this team and look specifically at this set and game number 2, it's incredibly close. I mean, you know, a little deceptive. You look at it, like I even mentioned it at the very end where it's like, this is a 13,000 gold lead.
Surprising.
And you could see it in like just support and like carry, I think was like the big difference makers. Otherwise, it looked even, it played even. They were still nervous about pulling the Fire Giant. It was a massive lead, but it took them a while before they were really able to push it to something.
Yeah, at every moment in that game, I thought there was just one team fight away where the Weavers were going to be able to close it out or pick up a Fire Giant for themselves or start to move in towards one of these other objectives, because in major moments, there were multiple mistakes for the Eldritch Hounds, but you're allowed to make those mistakes when you're able to establish these leads so consistently. You make a mistake when you're 5k down, you probably lose a game. You make a mistake when you're 5k up, you might lose out on 2,000 of your gold lead, right? So, afforded some slight errors on the battleground by their superior macro play throughout the early portions of the game, and it was superior, mainly around the guy on your screen right now. Dude Man Bro very easily establishes dominance in both games of this set. In the duo lane, the rotating towards these team fights, once he did decide to rotate, and it was a late game decision in both matches, with a 2, 3, 4 level lead at times, it was very hard to contend with for the Anansi Weavers. And you got to talk about Oath as well. I think he has a less impressive performance this time around. Pretty hard to beat, like 13-1, right, in game 1 on that Susano, but still able to get involved in these team fights very early on. And even in that last engagement, the turnaround 1v2 finds the kill and survives. Very impressive.
Yeah, it goes 5-5-9 out of the jungle. 4-0-13. Crimson manages to not die that game. Incredibly impressive, I think, for the AMC. And does a lot of damage in the process. I think there were a lot of moments you had highlighted, Dude Man Bro. And you can see, again, 4-2-11 does a lot. And I'm sure on this next screen, we'll see that reflected in the DPS numbers. But I'm also going to be looking at 32,000 out of the AMC. My God, it's
pretty good.
Yeah, it does a lot, but it's actually the structure damage. It's the 7,700 expected from the AMC, but 6,500 part of that from Dude Man Bro, and a little bit. I believe it was Oath that was over there in the duo lane at 12 minutes. They get that tier 2. And that's a lot of pressure early on. That's where a lot of that lead comes from, is all of a sudden you can't do anything over there if you're Hou Yi. You can't step forward without feeling in danger.
But it is a double-edged sword taking tier 2s that early in a game, right? Like, if the wave's going to get pushed up, and considering how Dude Man Bro was playing that lane, the late wave was pushed up, you just freeze it at your Phoenix. Makes it very hard for the Soul to farm out in that same regard. But you're right to say, I mean, taking it that early is still a massive gold boon and is the majority, the bulk of where they found their lead early on.
Well, the Hounds get themselves a 2-0 here today to kick things off for North America. We can look at the schedule and see what is still on the list. Wardens and Tanuki going to be playing right after this. And, of course, the Sages and the Storm. Not tomorrow morning, but Saturday morning at 11, right before the SBL. Sunday. That's a special day for us because that's when we have 3 SBL sets. So if you're wondering, tomorrow, SCC in the morning. Saturday, SCC in the morning. Sunday, SPL in the morning. And you can see how this affects the standing and the afternoon, and then another one after that. There's actually 3 full ones. It doesn't just get bumped up. 2-0 now for the Eldritch Hounds. The Storm and the Wardens looking to potentially catch up to them. And so this is going to be an interesting area for them. The Weavers, unfortunately, fall down 0-2. So we'll see if we end up with some middling teams here in North America after this, or a couple of teams that are still vying for that first place spot.
Do you think this next set coming up, the Wardens up against the Tanuki, do you think the Wardens have the opportunity to match up against these guys in the top? I think so. I mean, that's a Sino Moswell team.
Yeah.
You know, they got like world champions.
All you needed to do was say Sino Moswell, and it's a little more favored, I would say, for the Wardens. Although we'll have to see, I guess, whether or not they can actually do that. I mean, again, a very accomplished team. Actually, just looked something up. I think it was we were talking to the Titans yesterday while they were here.
I remember.
And Aurora
this
brought up
stat's
the
crazy.
fact that Sino had played a lot of Naja in Season 5. Had lost overall in Season 5 1 competitive game on it from summer split to Worlds went undefeated.
So crazy.
Naja. So hey, I think I know what kind of bands we might be seeing. There's also ESET in there. We'll see if the Wardens will take it or if the Tanuki can surprise us here in set number 4 right after this quick break.